episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk on the Angler Made YouTube channel. Today we're going to tie an articulated minnow. And you can see here, this little concoction we got is basically a hook shank without a hook that you clip on another hook. And what this does is it makes it to where when your fly's in the water, it can move all different directions and look like a wounded minnow or a swimming minnow, however you want to fish it. The other day I was dry fly fishing and we landed a nice brown, and as I'm standing in the water I saw a sculpin swim by, a sculpin minnow. They live in a lot of creeks and rivers, and I thought, man, that's why the fish are so big in this place, is they're actually eating a lot of these minnows as well. So when I first started tying flies, when I tie an articulated minnow or leech, you would simply get two hooks and you'd use some braided line and loop it through and tie it down, and so the line would actually be what made it articulated. So you'd have another hook right here, and you know that works awesome, works good. Now with modern technology and the ability to get about everything off of Amazon and eBay, you can buy these hook shanks, and so this is a little assortment I just got off of Amazon. So you can see it has all these different sizes, and they've got the little clip on the back so you can use different sizes hooks as well. And so it's actually become pretty easy and time effective to just buy these little shanks. They're pretty cheap, especially if you buy them in bulk, and then just clip your hook on and away you go. So today we're going to tie what I call Easton's articulated minnow. Okay, we now have our hook in the vise and we have clipped on the front part, and you can either clip this on later or first. I find on this particular fly it's just as easy if I clip it on without all the materials. You'll notice that the eye of this hook is turned vertical, so we're going to tie this in a little bit different. You can do it either way. I was trying these hooks out. I got these off of Amazon as well. So this one, it's split almost evenly down the middle. We've got a 20 millimeter articulated shank with a size 6 streamer hook. So what we're going to do first is we're going to tie on our thread. And I'm just using some ultra thread 140 on this particular fly. So in this minnow, I like to put a little flash in it, so I'm just going to get some Flashaboo right here. My son Easton is a minnow fishing connoisseur. Usually it doesn't matter what we're fishing with, Easton ends up with a minnow. And I have to say, he catches a lot of fish. So I'm just going to tie on some sparkle right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a nice fluffy piece of olive marabou. And we're going to tie that in as well. And I usually tie in a couple clumps of marabou on my tail on this fly. So I'm going to tie in this, and then I'm going to actually just pinch it off. Okay, so we have that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit more crystal flash. Or not crystal flash, Flashaboo. And tie a few strands on each side. So you now See, I've got a lot going on in this tail. Alright, our next step is I'm just going to get some semi-sealed dubbing. This is olive as well. I'm just going to make ourselves a nice little dubbing noodle here. Go up and try to even out our taper as well. Okay. So, once I get to this point, I will tie off the whip finisher this back part of the fly. And then what I like to do with my dubbing is just get my trusty little wire brush here, just comb it all out. So you can see it kind of bulks up the body. Alright, now what we do is we take our hook out and we simply pinch it right there. So now we go to the second part of our fly, and this is the articulated part, or the hook shank part. So we'll put back on our red thread, and what you do is you go to this clip and you cinch it down, and I actually like to get just a little bit of super glue here. Not that much. And the tips of my finger are going to be sticky. Just put a little glue there, really cinch it down nice and tight. Okay, on this one, I like to put just a little bit of lead, and does a couple things. Number one, it kind of evens out your hook shank right here, and it'll allow the fly to get down a little deeper. So I tie that on, put a little bit of glue, and then I wrap my thread over it, and that keeps my lead from spinning with the materials on it. Okay, so now we're at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more crystal flash, and I'm going to tie it in. This is about 4 strands, and when I cut it, I don't want it to go longer than my tail. And then what I do is I get a piece of, oops, another piece of marabou, like so. And on this particular piece, I get the stiffer portion, not the real fluffy like on my tail. And I tie this down in. And I usually do one on top one on the bottom. So now you see I've got quite a bit of marabou, and then I've got this flash sticking out just beyond it. I might need to back this up. This fly's getting long on us. Alright, there we go. Okay. Now what we do is we grab our olive dubbing. Okay, we're going to make another dubbing loop. Okay. You can see here I've still left about 1/8 of an inch for my head, because we're going to tie a little bit more marabou in on the front of this fly. So I get a nice big clump. Careful not to crowd my head. Alright. So now we have that marabou sticking up. And now what I do is I kind of pull everything back, and I really build this head up good. That's why I use this 140 unit thread. Hit it one more time. Okay, so there you have it. So now we're going to get our UV glue, and we're going to coat this head. So it just has this little red ball on the top. Sucking on an egg, or just wounded with a little blood. Whatever the fish wants to think. But when you put the UV glue on with the thread and harden it up, you can see it's got a really cool look. Almost makes it look like it's got one big eye. So that, my friend, we'll pull this out here so you can see kind of how it looks. That, my friends, is Easton's Articulated Minnow. And now, for those of you who have watched this far, I'm going to show you a little trick I found to make it look more like a sculpin. What you do is you get a black Sharpie and you put some bars in it. Just hold everything together. So now you see it's got that sculpin look. So that, my friends, is Easton's Articulated Minnow. Works really good in creeks and rivers. You'll be amazed at the movement you get in this fly. If I can get it put back in. Catches a lot of fish. Thank you for watching this episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk.